What if numbers weren't human inventions, but divine revelations? What if every number, 1, 3, 7, 9, was not just a tool to measure, but a living archetype, a symbol of hidden laws that shape both matter and meaning? To the ancients, numbers were not dead digits. They pulsed with energy. They meant something. The Egyptian priesthood encoded them into their temples. The Kabbalists mapped them into the Tree of Life. And Pythagoras. He claimed the entire cosmos was built on numbers, and that each one sang a frequency, a harmony of divine order. This was sacred math, a forgotten science where 3 wasn't just the number after 2. It was the number of creation, of synthesis, of the divine triad. They believed numbers weren't just symbols for reality. They were reality. Sacred geometry, musical ratios, magical squares. Numbers were everywhere, and they weren't random. But in the modern world, we've reduced them to utility. We've forgotten their soul, reduced them to digits on a screen instead of truths carved into the fabric of reality. So ask yourself this: if numbers are the language of the universe, then what have they been trying to say to you all along? Why some numbers hold mystical power begins now. Part 1. Pythagoras and the birth of numerical mysticism. Long before calculators, equations, or modern science, there was a man who listened to the silence between the numbers, Pythagoras. To most people, he's just a name in a geometry textbook, a formula you once memorized and forgot. But to the ancient world, Pythagoras was a seer, a mystic, a man who claimed that the secret structure of the cosmos could be found not in stars or scriptures, but in numbers. He taught that numbers were not inventions. They were alive. They had personality, power, purpose. To him, mathematics wasn't academic, it was sacred, a direct language of the divine. Let's break it down. The number 1, unity, the source, the monad. Not just the beginning, but the all. The number 2, duality, polarity, the first split, light and shadow, masculine and feminine. The number 3, the triad, creation, harmony, mind, body and soul, the holy triangle through which spirit becomes form. The number 4, earth, stability, the 4 elements, 4 directions, 4 corners of the material world. The number 7, initiation, the number of mystery, 7 chakras, 7 classical planets, 7 heavens. The number 10, completion, the tetractys, the return to one through the full cycle of becoming. To the Pythagoreans, numbers weren't just counting tools, they were living archetypes, vibrational keys that could unlock the hidden harmonics of reality. Even music, Pythagoras taught, was numerical. He discovered that simple ratios, like 2 to 1, 3 to 2, produced divine harmonies. To him, this wasn't music, it was mathematics made holy, proof that numbers shape not only sound, but structure. He called it the music of the spheres, the idea that planets and stars moved in cosmic rhythm, each one singing a note in the grand symphony of creation. And so he founded a mystery school, not to teach formulas, but to initiate seekers into the truth that numbers held the blueprint of both cosmos and soul. The Pythagorean symbol, the tetractys, wasn't a triangle. It was a portal. 10 dots arranged in 4 levels, symbolizing the descent of divine unity into form. And here's the twist. Pythagoras wasn't alone. While his teachings formed the bedrock of Western esoteric thought, other ancient civilizations were already working with sacred numbers in their own way. From the builders of Egyptian temples to the mystics of Kabbalah, to the architects of megalithic monuments across the world. Each one etched numerical fingerprints into stone, myth, and ritual, markings of a truth too sacred to speak, only to be remembered. So if Pythagoras revealed the spiritual vibration of numbers, then what else did the ancients encode in their temples, their myths, and their symbols? Let's travel deeper into the world of sacred geometry, Egyptian math, and the numerical codes that shaped civilization. Part 2. Egypt, Kabbalah, and the Geometry of the Soul. If Pythagoras gave us the music of the spheres, then Egypt gave us the temple that sang it. In the eyes of the ancient Egyptians, numbers were not abstract concepts. They were the bones of the cosmos. They used them to construct not just buildings, but realities. 42, not random. That was the number of judges in the hall of Ma'at, the spiritual tribunal that weighed the heart of the soul against the feather of truth. Each judge representing a law, a vibration, a cosmic checkpoint. 12. Not decorative. 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night. 12 aspects of Ra's journey through the Duat, the underworld. 12 gates, through which the soul must pass to awaken the light within. 9. The Ennead. 9 deities forming a sacred pattern, an energetic blueprint that mirrored both the body and the stars. But here's the key. To the initiated, these numbers weren't myth, they were mathemagics, not symbols of fantasy, but formulas of transformation, embedded into the very geometry of temples like Karnak, Luxor, and Edfu. Each chamber aligned with specific star clusters, solar positions, and harmonic ratios. Step inside these structures, and you don't just see sacred art, you enter a frequency, and that frequency was designed to transform the soul. Now shift your gaze to the mystics of Kabbalah. Their map of the soul, called the Tree of Life, is not a philosophy. It's a numerical interface between the human and the divine. 10 Sephirot, 10 emanations through which the infinite unfolds into form. From Keter, the crown of pure will, to Malkuth, the kingdom, the physical realm. Between them, 22 paths, each one aligned with a letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Each one a vibrational bridge between dimensions of consciousness. Together, the 10 spheres and 22 paths form 32 sacred pathways of wisdom, exactly the number referenced in the Sefer Yetzirah, the ancient book of formation. But it goes deeper. The Hebrew letters were not invented for communication. They were codes, each letter a frequency, each word a spell. So when the Kabbalists spoke of divine names, they weren't talking about theology. They were talking about numerical engines of manifestation, the temples of Egypt, the Tree of Life, the rituals of both systems, all relied on precise numbers. Not for decoration, but for activation, because numbers weren't just measurements of reality, they were instructions for navigating it, used to structure calendars, to map the heavens, to calculate initiations aligned with lunar, solar, and stellar events, and more than anything, to guide the soul through stages of remembrance. But what if numbers could do more than reflect reality? What if they could rewrite it? Because in the next part, we'll uncover the true power the ancients feared most. How numbers weren't just cosmic reflections, but forces of influence. Let's go there. Part 3. Numerology. When numbers mirror you. What if the moment you were born, the universe whispered a number into your soul, a frequency, a signature, a mathematical echo of your life's mission. This is the essence of numerology, an ancient science that says you are not random. Your name, your birth date, even the timing of key events, all form a vibrational code. Let's start with one of the most powerful elements, your birth date. From it, we derive your life path number, a core frequency that reflects your soul's journey in this incarnation. To calculate it, you reduce your full birth date down to a single digit, unless you arrive at a master number like 11, 22, or 33. Each number carries a specific archetype: 1, the leader, bold, independent, initiator; 2, the peacemaker, intuitive, diplomatic, harmonizer; 3, the creator, expressive, artistic, joyful; 4, the builder, stable, practical, structured; 5, the explorer, freedom seeker, adventurous, unconventional; 6, the healer, nurturing, service-oriented, responsible; 7, the seeker, spiritual, analytical, introspective; 8, the powerhouse, ambitious, driven, influential; 9, the humanitarian, wise, compassionate, visionary. And then there are the master numbers. 11, the illuminator, heightened intuition, spiritual insight, visionary gifts; 22, the master builder, manifester of dreams into reality; 33, the master teacher, spiritual service at the highest level. But here's the secret. These numbers don't tell you what you are. They remind you. They act like mirrors, reflecting the hidden architecture of your being. Now consider your name. Each letter corresponds to a number. A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, and so on. When calculated, your expression number, soul urge number, and personality number emerge. Each reveals another layer of your soul's blueprint. Expression equals your full potential. Soul urge equals your deepest inner longing. Personality equals the mask you wear to the world. Together, they form a numerical resonance field, a code that shapes how you think, feel, attract, and evolve. And this code isn't frozen in time, it pulses. It moves through cycles, like breath, like tide, like the spiral of your evolution, waves of transformation and growth. Each year vibrates with a number. Some years are for building, 4, others for letting go, 9, and some for spiritual awakening, 7 or 11. So when life feels mistimed or eerily perfect, it may not be chance. It may be your soul's math playing out in real time. It might be the numerical rhythm of your soul playing out. But this is where it gets deeper, because if numbers can describe your life, what if they could also influence it? What if whispering a number could rewire your frequency and reshape your field from the inside out? Change your external reality? What if numbers weren't just mirrors, but keys? Because that's exactly what the mystics believed, that when you align with the right number, you unlock a force that bends the world around you. In the next part, we'll explore how numbers aren't just passive reflections, but active forces of creation. Let's go there. Part 4. Sacred Geometry and the Code Behind Creation. If numbers are the soul's mirror, then sacred geometry is the body of the universe. What if every flower, every seashell, every spiral galaxy is just a number made visible? This is the power of sacred geometry, where mathematics becomes form, where the invisible blueprint of reality begins to take shape. Let's begin with one of the most mysterious numbers. Phi, the golden ratio, 1.618. It's found in sunflower seeds, nautilus shells, human faces, and even in the spirals of galaxies. This number doesn't just appear, it governs beauty, balance, and growth. Closely linked is the Fibonacci sequence: 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. Each number is the sum of the two before it. And when you divide them, the ratio approaches 1.618. Nature grows in math. Not randomly, intelligently. From the branching of trees to the pattern of hurricanes, everything is coded. And it's not just nature. The ancients knew this. They didn't just build temples. They built resonant machines, anchored in divine proportion. Take the Great Pyramid of Giza. Its proportions reflect both pi and phi. It's not just a tomb. It's a crystal of mathematical intention, designed to align with stars, encode frequency, and hold energy. Or the flower of life, a geometric pattern made of evenly spaced, overlapping circles. It contains the seed of life, the tree of life, and the blueprint of all Platonic solids. Many believe it's the original code of creation. Even medieval cathedrals like Chartres weren't just religious sites. They were mathematical prayers carved into stone. Builders used sacred ratios to harmonize stone, light, and sound into a structure that resonates with the cosmos. Why? To them, geometry wasn't art. It was the fingerprint of the divine, etched into every leaf, star, and stone. To them, numbers weren't invented, they were discovered. Eternal, immutable, divine, from the spiral of a shell, to the arc of a galaxy, to the layout of a temple. It's all math, but not cold, mechanical math. Living numbers, breathing shapes, encoded consciousness, whispers of a higher mind embedded in form. Even your body follows the pattern: 5 fingers, 5 toes, connected to the pentagram, the sacred 5-pointed star. Your DNA coils in a double helix, another spiral rooted in divine proportion. And when you meditate on these shapes, when you trace them, draw them, or walk through their architecture, something happens. You begin to feel that you're not separate from the universe. You are part of its code, because you too are made of numbers. You're walking geometry, animated by consciousness. So, if numbers become form, and form shapes experience, then numbers don't just describe reality, they generate it. Which leads us to the ultimate question: are numbers the real language of the divine? Let's follow that thread into Part 5. Part 5, Living in Alignment with Sacred Number. If numbers are the hidden code behind creation, then what happens when you live in alignment with them? What if numbers aren't just for math class, but for awakening the soul? Across every mystical tradition, numbers weren't passive. They were used intentionally to time rituals, to chant sacred syllables, to open portals within the self. Let's begin with something simple: daily timing. Ancient initiates didn't act randomly. They meditated, prayed, invoked at precise hours. The number 3 for creation, 7 for spiritual work, 1111 for dimensional gateways. Even today, people report seeing repeating numbers on clocks, receipts, license plates. Not coincidences, but nudges, signals. Think of them as numerical synchronicities, signposts left by your soul. You can start by tracking them. When do certain numbers show up? What are you thinking in that moment? Next, ritual alignment. If you want to call in peace, work with 2, the number of balance and duality. For transformation, use 5, the number of change and motion. To anchor divine order, meditate on 9, completion and spiritual mastery. Chanting numbers or words that carry specific vibrations is also ancient tech. For example, OM resonates with 3, the Trinity of creation. I am echoes the vibrational code of 1, pure awareness. And then, there's symbolic meditation. You can sit in silence and visualize a number, let's say 7. Let it rise in your mind's eye. Feel its frequency. Let it inform your breathing, your thoughts, your stillness. Because each number has its own energy signature, and by attuning to it, you tune yourself. Numbers aren't just outer guides. They're inner mirrors. You may even begin to notice your name reduces to a specific value in numerology. Your birth date aligns with a soul path number. Major life events happen in 7-year, 9-year, or 12-year cycles. When you trace these threads, you begin to see there's no chaos, only patterns waiting to be decoded. And suddenly, you're no longer just living. You're harmonizing. To live by sacred number is to walk as if life itself were a song written just for your soul. Every step, a beat in divine rhythm. Each decision, a note. Each moment, a rhythm. Each breath, a step in the geometry of your soul. And when you get out of sync, you'll feel it, because your inner instrument will vibrate with dissonance. But when you're aligned, you'll experience flow, clarity, synchronicity. You'll notice that the right people, opportunities, and insights come, not by chance, but by resonance, because numbers aren't silent. They've been calling you your entire life, in dreams, in patterns, in moments you couldn't explain, but never forgot. So now ask yourself, if numbers are the divine speaking in code, will you finally start listening? Part 6. Final CTA. What if numbers were never meant to be calculated, but remembered? Not equations, but echoes. Echoes of who you are, where you've been, and what you came here to become. For thousands of years, mystics, seers, and temple architects didn't just use numbers, they listened to them, because they understood something we forgot. Numbers are divine fingerprints, subtle signatures from source, etched into reality to help your soul remember the path home. You've seen them in dreams, in synchronicities, in the moments that felt too precise to be random. That's not chance. That's a message. So if you've ever felt drawn to 1111 or wondered why certain numbers follow you, now you know why. The universe is whispering, and it's time to remember how to listen. Subscribe, and let's decode the sacred mathematics of your soul's design together. Uncover the hidden war on the feminine and the mystic.